Good morning, Mr. Math Sensei, Mr. Spensei, and this is writing systems of equations. So the owner of Sprouts wants to mix raisins that sell at 5.75 per pound with nuts. So what's being mixed? That's our first question. We want to mix raisins and nuts. What's the question asking? Well, let's keep reading. How many pounds of raisins and how many pounds of nuts? So it's asking for how many pounds of raisins and nuts. So that's what we're looking for. So next thing, what information do you think is important to find the answer to this problem? Well, that's a good question. I'm going to say raisins are 5.75. Raisins cost 5.75. And I'm going to write per pound because per is an important word because that is a rate word. How many pounds of nuts must be used if he wants to make 100 pound? And then which with nuts would sell for $4 per pound. Well, that sounds important. Nuts cost $4 per pound. And we think that, once again, per is a rate word. How many pounds if he wants to use to make a 100-pound mix? So make 100 pounds total for 470 per pound. Again, per is an important word. All right. So our total amount is 100 pounds. We want raisins for 5.75, nuts for $4. And it says the very first thing we need to do is write our let statements. Well, what are we mixing? Well, we're going to mix raisins and nuts. Well, I need a variable for raisins. How about R? So let R equal the pounds of raisins. And being creative, we'll use N for nuts. Let N equal the number of pounds of nuts. Well, the middle column is always rates. Well, we know that the rate for the nuts is 5.75. I mean, for the rates for the raisins is 5.75. We know the rate for the nuts is $4. And we know the total is 470. And once again, only rates can go here. So the fact that it says per tells me, hey, you know what? These are pers. Pers go here. All right, that's the only place they can go. That's the only thing that can go there. Sometimes there won't be a middle rate, but sometimes there is. In this case, we have three rates. Always know that we're going to have the middle rate, whatever the middle one will be, in the one at the end. Now, total. Well, what was our total? The total amount of raisins and nuts mixed together is 100. Now, when we have three, we can just multiply straight across. So this becomes 5.75 R. This becomes 4N. When I multiply this, I get 470. So my equations, because now that we made the table, we're going to write our equations, is going to be 1R plus 1N equals 100. Because it's going to be R plus N equals 100. We don't need this middle one. We won't use it, but this is my first equation. It came from right here. My second equation is going to come from here, and it's going to be 5.75 R plus 4N equals 470. So what I'm going to put in as my matrix is 1, 1, 100, 575, 4, and 470. Okay, so at this point, we're going to solve using matrix operations. See if I can brighten this up a little bit. Oops. That's not working. I guess I can't get it any brighter than this. Okay, that's as bright as I can get it. So that's hopefully be able to see that. So to do that, I'm gonna have to go blue, then press the matrix button, arrow over to edit, press enter. Look, I have 1, 2, 3 columns and 2 rows. So this is going to be a 2 by 3 because it's 2 rows and 3 columns. So I'm going to type in 2, enter, 3, enter. And then I'm going to type in the matrix values, 1, enter, 1, enter, and 100, enter. Next, I'll have 5.75, enter, 4, enter, and 470, enter. Now that I've entered that data, I need to leave the matrix, which means I press blue mode. Unfortunately, I have to go back to the matrix. So blue matrix, but this time we're going to math. And we're going to scroll all the way down to letter B. And we get to RREF. We press enter. We press blue matrix. And we press enter twice. And we get 40 and 60. So our answer is the order that we have it. So 40, comma, 60, which tells me that my raisins, we had 40 pounds of raisins and 60 pounds of nuts, because this N is the pounds of nuts. So 60 pounds of nuts, 40 pounds of raisins. And guess what? 40 plus 60 equals that 100. And I should have put a plus sign here and an equal sign there. Okay, moving on to the next problem. A chemist has two acid solutions. One is 45% pure and the other is 90% pure. The chemist has an order for 10 grams of an acid solution at 72%. So I see this and I go, you know what? 45%, 90% pure, and 72% pure. So I have three rates, and I'm betting they should go here because they're percents. Percents are rates. So I'm going to say this is 0.45, and this is 0.90, and this is 0.72. It's usually very helpful to go small, large, medium. Smallest number, large number, medium number. What really matters is you have the middle number right there every single time. I knew this went in the middle because it said, because it was a percent, and percents go into the rate column. Also, you have to remember, we have to divide by 100. So 45 divided by 100, 0.45. 90 divided by 100, 0.90. 72 divided by 100, 0.72. So always divide those by 100. So I need a variable to represent this. By the way, this is my 45% that I'm mixing. And this is my 90% I'm mixing. And it's acid, okay? What I need a variable to represent that. Well, it's hard to come up with one. So I sit there and go, what letter does it start with? Well, 45 starts with F. So let F equal grams of 45% acid. And here we have 90 starts with an N. So let N equal grams of 90% acid. And we have one other number, and it happens to be the total number of grams. All right, totals go here. So if I multiply across, I get 0.45F. And this becomes 0.90N, or just 0.9N is fine. And if I multiply this, I get 7.9 0.20, multiplying straight across. Now I can write my equations. So this is going to be 1F plus 1N equals 10. I left off the F here and got to have that. This is going to be 0.45F plus 0.90N equal 720. So my matrix is going to be 1, 1, and 10, 0.45, 0.90, and 7.20. And at this point, I can go ahead and enter this into the matrix. And once again, this was my first equation. This right here made up my second equation because this plus this equals that. So let's go to the matrix and try to run this out in the matrix. So clearing my screen, pressing the blue button and dropping down to the x negative 1, which is the matrix. I'm going to arrow 2 spots to edit, press enter. I look and go, you know what? This is 2 rows and 3 columns, so it's a 2 by 3. So 2 enter, 3 enter. And I have 1 enter, and 10. Then I have 0.45, 0.9, and 7.2. Okay, we're going to leave. So blue quit. That's how we get out of the matrix, or blue mode. And then I have to go back into the matrix, which is blue matrix, arrow to math, drop down to letter B, which is RREF. And then I press blue matrix and enter twice. And I get 4 and 6. So in this case, we need 4, 6, where this is my grams of 45%, and I need 6 grams of 90%. So I need 4 grams of 90% acid and 4 grams of 45% acid, 4 of 45, and 6 of 90%. Okay, next one. A soil analysis of Hector's lawn determined that it needed 50 kilograms of fertilizer. That's not a rate. That sounds like a total. That sounds like the total amount they need. We'll keep going. Containing 20% nitrogen. How can this be mixtured from 2? So we need a 20% nitrogen. How can this mixture be made? Oh, we're making it from 2 fertilizers, one containing 25% nitrogen and the other containing 15% nitrogen. So we have 3%. The question is, where do they go? Well, if we go back with what I said, we're going to go small, large, medium, and then we know that rates or percents always go in the middle. Then the small one, what is the smallest one? Oh, 15. So 15 divided by 100, because remember, always divide percents by 100. And then we have the large one, which is 25%. So 25 divided by 100 is 0.25. And then we have the middle one, which is 20 divided by 100, which is 0.20. So that takes care of these, our rates. We have those. And what are we mixing? Well, it looks like we're mixing 15% and 25% nitrogen. Well, 15 starts with an F, 25 starts with a T. So let F equal kgs of 15% nitrogen. Let T equal kgs of 25% nitrogen. Okay, we've used all the numbers except for the total. Well, the total mixture is 50, so we're going to mark that right here. So we're going to multiply straight across. And when we do that, that becomes 0.15 F. This becomes 0.25 T. And when we multiply 50 times 0.20, we end up getting 10. So my first equation, which is right here, is 1F plus 1T equals 50. My next equation, my second equation is right there, and that's 0.15 F plus 0.25 T equals 10. So we have 1, 1, and 50, 0.15, 0.25, and 10. That's what's going in our matrix. Let's go ahead and set up our matrix in the calculator. So we're going to press the blue button, and then we have to drop down to the X -1 and press matrix. Arrow over to edit. Once again, we have a 2 by 3, so 2 enter, 3 enter. And what are we entering? We're entering 1 enter, 1 enter, and 50, and then 0.15, 0.25, and 10. Now we're going to leave, which is blue mode, and then we'll go blue matrix, arrow to math, drop all the way down to letter B, press enter, press blue matrix, and then enter twice. And we end up with 25, 25. So in this case, we needed 25 of the 15% and 25 of the 25%. So 25, comma 25. We always want to label our answer. This is for our 15%, and this is for our 25%. All right, appreciate you watching, and it just tells us in this case we need 25 kilos of each, 25 kilos of the 15% and 25 kilos of the 25% in order to have enough to have the right mixture to get 20%. Well, I appreciate you watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you.